I created a brain opera about Noor Khan, who was a Sufi princess who, during World War II, worked as a covert wireless operative and was captured by the Nazis in France and didn't give up any information and escaped 3 times and was sent to Dachau and died. And I found it very interesting that a Muslim princess was doing that. It's a true story. So I started asking a question about human brain surveillance and came up with this opera, Noor, Is There a Place in Human Consciousness Where Surveillance Cannot Go? So I started working with a BCI, which is a brain-computer interface. And you probably know the commercial ones like NeuroSky or Muse. There are a few different ones, OpenBCI, which is the world's first open source brain computer interface also. And I tested them out. And I'm going to go a tiny bit into how they work because this will help explain something as we go on. And basically, the neurons in your brains fire electrical signals, and the electrical signals can be picked up on your skull, and that's a very simple way to say it. You have the skin, the way it's recorded, which usually is non-invasive. It could be invasive, like Andy's patch was invasive, and signal processing, and it feeds back to the brain, and that's a very simple explanation of it. Signal processing is a very big deal, and for those of you who deal with signal processing, you know that, but I just wanted to say that the signal is processed. That's about as complex as I'll get for this. But what you can process with it, and what's so compelling, is you can process things like light, color, video, motion, animation, sound, music, tactile, vibration, electrical, thermal, microtexture, and eventually scent, odors, pheromones. You can process a lot of signals with this stuff, eventually, okay, because it's all about signal processing and algorithms. So, the brain itself has delta, theta, alpha, and beta. And basically, delta and theta are either asleep or children's brain waves. And the main ones are alpha, which is meditation, and beta, which is interest. Those are your main brain waves. And they have different level of hertz for those of you who work with that. I chose the emotive. The reason I chose this is because it has 14 sensors and picks up 4 emotions and is wireless. And any sensor with a wire was really just too difficult for me, like OpenBCI. It takes about 8 seconds to calibrate your specific contours of your brain. And it takes about 150th of, between 150 and 250th of a millisecond, which is about 1/8 of a beat, for that signal to be read. So already you have a lag. Now, what I found really interesting is that DARPA, our lovely US military, is part of the Obama Brain Initiative for the next 10 years and is receiving 50% of the funds to investigate the human brain. The other 25% is the National Institute of Health and the National Science Foundation. DARPA, as you know, is not as upfront accountable as the other organizations. And they're being very in your face about it. They're advertising, come and meet us, share your ideas, we're the new DARPA, we love you. They came to this hardware hack about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Hannes met them. You know, they're reaching out and touching everybody these days. They also started a new agency called IARPA, which is Intelligence Advanced Research Projects Activity, where they're specifically focusing on the brain, and we're talking a bagazillion dollars over 10 years. I mean, serious money here. So, this is all going to get back to the opera. Some of the new research, and this research has a lot to do with Facebook's new initiative and Elon Musk's new initiative, basically says that the brain is no longer left and right, it's semantic. Like you have little sections in your brain that say, oh, I know this is a bicycle, and I know this is a car, and I know this is a motorcycle, and everybody's brain has this. So the brain has its own visual semantics of the way it cognizes things, which I found really interesting. Now, some of the things DARPA wants to do is, in 2015, they were talking about making a cortical modem, which is a direct implant into the brain where images will be received directly with no interface. That was in 2015. Look what happened last week. From the University of Pennsylvania Medical School is Brain Silk, the beginning of the cortical modem. So this isn't science fiction, and DARPA is funding a lot of this behind the scenes and in grants and things like that. So what does this mean? It means some of your brain data is now being uploaded or can be uploaded or will be uploaded to the cloud, and there are already open source platforms for doing that. It's already happening. The information is taken, as you can see, from your brain to your phone to the device, into the cloud for data input and feature extraction and yada, 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 okay? So that's already came to a movie theater near you soon, and more of these companies are happening. There's a huge potential for commercial harvesting, hacking, and monitoring of biodata, especially brain data. Quisp is another company that was originally out of a DARPA grant as well. Neurotechnology, anytime, anywhere. This is the real deal. So, what did Mark Zuckerberg say in the past 2 weeks? Facebook of the future will be powered by telepathic thoughts, right? A lot of you here read that, okay? But I wondered if you really dug down a little bit, because who is running it? Regina Durgan. And what did Regina do? Ah, the former DARPA executive from DARPA. Ooh, Elon Musk also has one of them too. He took one, a former DARPA executive. Who knew, right? I knew. So, as Edward Snowden's disclosure is of covert methods by the NSA, if you think network surveillance has really been bad, you haven't seen anything yet. Okay? So, what do we do about it? So I'm in the art world, and artists have been working with brain-computer interfaces for quite a while, starting in 1965 with Alvin Lucier's music for solo performance, and also John Cage and Namjoon Paik. And there in 1965 is Alvin Lucier measuring his alpha wave, and with his alpha wave making drums go bang, 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 bang. Okay, people thought he was nuts in 1965. John Cage also did it with Namjoon Paik. They did a video performance of it in 1973. And David Rosenboom, who's a composer, what I found interesting, you can see his signature here in 1972, already imagined, and he did this at the Whitney in 2015, 4 people and brain extraction making music. That he actually did perform that in 2015, and I saw it, and I was thrilled to see it. So in terms of, now I'm jumping to my brain opera, what I did is, without going into the very deep details, I'll just say that I worked with a performer who trained for 5 months working with contact improvisation and Qigong with this man, David Lang. He runs a contact improv school in Hong Kong. And this is a 360-degree theater. It's walls 15 feet high. And we started training in that. And so what I started doing is, you can see here is a performer with an EEG headset touching an audience member. And here is the performer looking at another audience member, and that's changing the performer's brainwaves. And the brainwaves are moving into databanks, 4 databanks of videos, a sonic environment, and a libretto, which are key to the interests of excitement, meditation, frustration, and interest. Okay, so it's a feedback loop. And now I'm going to show you a very quick excerpt of that brain opera. Okay. So these sounds are being triggered by the performer's brainwaves, and you'll see me putting it on her in a minute. As this libretto, this is being triggered by her brainwaves also. Noor Inayat Khan was the daughter of Hazrat Inayat Khan, who brought Sufism to the West.
He brought me up in a Sufi tradition in London and Paris.
He died when Noor was 13.
My short life
A man with a strong message.
my irresistible. My father.
The family moved to France. World War II broke out.
Aerial bombardment.
The world I knew changed all of a sudden with war. We were looking for a new home.
But Noor was not content doing nothing, and she joined British Secret Intelligence, training as a wireless operator.
It was a big responsibility. Required self-sacrifice. I had to learn everything one by one.
My irresistible.
A few months later, Noor was parachuted behind enemy lines into Nazi-occupied France.
It was a very dangerous mission. They told me lifetime of a wireless operator was about 5 to 6 weeks. I had to survive a lot more than that. I moved from one place to another.
I told them I was free. Why compassionate? Why aware?
For a period of 3 months, Noor was the only communications link between Nazi-occupied France and the Allies.
My father's greatest message was not to lie. I became a secret agent instead. We were betrayed, but did not know by whom.
100,000 francs for my son.
The Nazis were at her door, broke it down, and caught her.
Gestapo captured me.
They brought her to Gestapo headquarters.
84 Avenue Foch, nightmare of resistance, where many people tortured and killed. Finally, I was there.
The Nazis put her in chains. and put her in rooms next to other prisoners.
We worked together. We sent messages to each other. We have to get out of here. You have to help me.
Noor escaped.
We were free.
I was born in Moscow to American Indian parents.
They did a search and they found her.
Once again, I was at the hands of Gestapo.
Gestapo captured me.
Tasted freedom only for an hour, but I had to keep trying.
This time, they wanted to disappear her into night and fog.
Nachtennegel, worst label you can get by Gestapo. It showed how afraid they are. From a little girl.
She was taken on a train to Dachau.
My short life line. Arbeit macht frei.
One night, the guards took her out behind the crematoriums,
My short life line.
and they took a gun and they shot her in the back of the head.
Throughout life's painful test. A thorny path to breathe.
Okay, and so the question is there a place in human consciousness where surveillance cannot go? So the point here is you're sort of seeing her memories, her thoughts. The libretto is you're hearing her words, and the sonic environment is key to the four emotions, and that's sort of it. Thank you.